Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be part 2 of solving quadratic equations with additional methods. The next one I think you're really going to like. I'm almost positive you're going to use it because it's fast and it's fairly effective, but it doesn't always work, and I'll show you why. It's got a couple of exceptions, but if you're smart, you can spot them. Okay, so let's get right to it. And I'm going to go back to the notes. So we're still on our notes, 7-7 continued. All right, so this is the next little bullet point. All right, if you're, like I said, if you need to pause the video to catch your notes up, if you're writing notes, that's the thing to do. All right, so now we're going to talk about solving these equations by graphing. So it really is a good method, except if it's calculator inactive, then it's not a good method at all. It's probably the worst. All right, so there's one exception right away. Now, if you've got access to technology or calculator, or better yet, a Desmos app, then use it. So for these, I'm going to use Desmos. We haven't used it a whole lot lately on these videos, so we're going to use that. And if we have another minute, we may use the calculator too, because it'll do the same thing. Oh, I'm back. Well, I paused it because my dogs went haywire just then. They must have seen something outside, and I put them out. Okay, so what I was saying, I'm going to use a Desmos app to solve these. Okay. Now, I've already loaded the Desmos, and again, if you need a quick way to find it, it's in our, it's on our home page, and it's that link right there. So I've already pulled that up, and I'm going to type this first equation into my Desmos, and the second one. All right, so I've already typed it in before the video because I know how these videos go. You do tend to run out of time. Okay, so I typed in the first one. Notice I put y equals. If you just put a 0 here, notice you don't get anything. Okay, so you need to replace y with 0. 0 with y. And the idea here is this quadratic equation has a related quadratic function. This is the related quadratic function to that equation. And when we graph it, okay, we're looking for solutions here. Now, where is this going to be 0? Remember, y is 0 on the x-axis. So you're looking for x-intercepts. You need to write that down. X-intercepts are solutions to quadratic equations. So wherever this function crosses the x-axis, that is an x-intercept. And look here, Desmos does a great job with these. There's that -3 we got in example 1 from the last video. And there's that -1/2 we got on the last video. So in terms of how fast is this, that's pretty quick. Throw it in the calculator, see it 0, let it go. Oh, by the way, I just used the word. These are also called zeros of the function. Values that make this 0 are called zeros. So when you have an x-intercept, it's a 0. Not a y-intercept. That's a good one to trick people with on a SchoolNet test or quiz, and they do it all the time. Okay? So when you cross the x-axis, that is those are your solutions. So -3 and -1/2. Okay? We'll turn that one off. And I've already typed this one in. And again, I'll have to emphasize this. It has to be in standard form. Well, actually, it doesn't. If you're looking for zeros, it does. And there's that -1/2 we got, and there's that 4/3 we got on that equation previously. But you know what? I just said something, and I think we should follow up with it. What if we put this in just like it looks? How's it looking here? Right there, equal to 4. All right, let's let that equal 4 and see what we get. Again, it's not what we want. Now, if you were in if you did it in 2 different pieces, like y equals, and then put a 4 down below, those are going to give you the same values, but that's just more work. So I guess what we should say here is put it in standard form and get it over with. Okay, and that's pretty easy. So just like you've been doing, standard form and go with it. Okay, so there's one more I wanted to talk about here. So notice, now we will note here we got 2 real solutions both times. There's one more guy that we have to be careful with, and you want to write this down too. Warning! You know, this is where people don't like, to hear things like this, but this will not solve them all. And I'll give you that example right now. And I'm going to cheat a little bit here and copy and paste that thing in here. And I'll just put it into my Desmos, just like that. Y equals, oh, it won't do the exponent, you little rascal. Okay, so there it is. Now, here's that function in the calculator. I mean, in our Desmos, and we're saying, hey, where does this cross the x-axis? When is this ever 0? And the answer is it's not. It's not. So in the Math 1 level, we would say no real solution. The Math 2 level will have complex solutions for this, but that's not us this year. So when you run into one of these guys, it has no real solutions. And there's one more case I want to show you. And I'll just make this one up because they're pretty easy to do. You could have something like this. If you get a perfect square trinomial, you don't have two solutions for that one either. Okay? So, but it does have one. So when you get a perfect square trinomial and you're looking for the x-intercepts, it only has one real solution. Okay, now just to show you, if you were to multiply that out, you would have on what, x squared minus 6x plus 9. Notice they're exactly the same graph. This one's in its factored form, which we'll talk about in another video, but it's not all that obvious that he doesn't have but one real solution when he's in standard form. Okay, so you're like, when? I always expect two. Not necessarily. You should expect two. This one's somewhat, I guess, somewhat rare, but not too bad, not too often. So expect two. It does happen to have one every now and then, but be careful. And you want to zoom in close to make sure it's only touching if you're doing by graphing. If you were to solve this by factoring, you're going to find it has two factors of x minus 3, and you really just can't count that twice. It doesn't make any sense, so it only has one real solution. And again, this guy, no solution. Or you can have two real, one, or none. And those are the only options for these quadratic functions. I hope this was helpful for you. I really think you should use this. You know, let's be real about it. We want to take all the we want to take advantage of all the tools we have. So if you're in a situation where you're going to solve a problem, applications that we're going to do next week, and you know some of those are nasty little equations, and you just graph them and get a solution really quick, that's smart. You know, work smart, not hard. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope it's helpful for you, and stay healthy out there, guys. Hope to see you soon.